welcome to another exciting edition of Meet the Author, but not at the Pyramid Club. We are on Zoom today. My friends that are on Facebook, welcome for joining us. My friends that are here live, welcome for joining us. I hope that if you are eating your lunch, feel comfortable. You didn't even have to brush your hair for this. That's the beautiful thing about webinar. You could come, you could be a hot mess. You don't even need a clean room. You hang out in the background and just enjoy the fun. So we've got some things, some announcements before we begin. So Meet the Author, if you are a first timer, has been around. This is our 11th year. We started at the Pyramid Club in Philadelphia. And then as COVID joined us, we decided to do some Zoom. So now we do a combination of both Zoom and in person. And we are super proud to be number 4 on Philadelphia Business Journal's list of best networking in Philadelphia. Number 4. And that is absolutely true. Yes, because if you come to one of our in-person meetings, you are going to make some awesome friends. And even in our Zoom meetings, because we have chat going on, you're going to get to meet each other in the chat. You will make some wonderful connections. So some upcoming programs. So we have a women's author panel on November 21st. We will be live at the Pyramid Club. We have 8, count them, 8 female authors. Each one of them, 8, each of them is amazing. Each of them, and each is very different. Look at everybody joining us. Bruno, Mary, Carol, so good to see you here. James. So if you can get to Center City on November 21st at 6 o'clock, we have a wonderful program for you. Then we have on, and I got to get my little notes up here, Scott. I should really pull this up. Scott Melson, who wrote a brand new book called Frequency of Excellence. He will be joining us right here on Zoom, December 6th at noon. And that book is hot off the press. And I want to introduce, it is so awesome that we have in the chat room, I call her the guardian angel of our chat room. She is our chat room ambassador, Lysandra Cheatham. Lysandra, tell us a little about you.
Absolutely. Welcome, everyone. Happy Friday. We made it. I'm so excited to be here and share this space with you. My name is Lysandra Cheatham. I am a passionate learner all the time. By day, I am in management consulting, and I work for a boutique firm here I see some shout outs in Wayne. Our headquarters is in Wayne, Navigate Corporation, here in Philadelphia, where we help our clients solve complex problems. So across a range of areas and industries. And in that work, mainly most of my work there is in areas of learning and development, change management, etc. But my sweet spot is to be able to create spaces for people to learn. So I'm excited to be in this space where we can learn today from each other and from Howard. So I'll be in the chat engaging. Please feel free to ask any questions, and we'll make sure that we incorporate them into our time today. Welcome.
Thank you, Lysandra. I am so honored that you join us for our program. For a long time, was telling Lysandra, I am a team of one and then maybe a couple. I don't have a big team for this. And Lysandra wanted to be part of the team. I'm like, you are in. You are in. All right. So we got all our announcements done. Everybody's welcomed. We are ready to begin. So our guest author for this session is someone I've known for a very long time. So Association for Talent Development, back when it was ASTD at that time, in 1999, he was president of the Chicago chapter. 2003, I was president of the Philadelphia chapter. And then after we graduated from our presidenthood, we joined a group called NAC, National Advisors for Chapters, with ATD. And we got regional groups that as past presidents, we could help make the most of their leadership experience in the chapter. So we got to meet each other through NAC. And our group, I have to say, Howard, our group really stayed in touch. Like we have followed each other for 2 decades. We have really and it's beautiful. So we might not see each other in person, but we get together at the conference and we're following each other's lives through births and marriages and all of that. So when I saw you come out with your book, Howard, I knew I had to have you on Meet the Author. My hope was to have you in person, but I don't think you get to Philadelphia all that often. So it is an honor to have you here with us today, Mr. Howard Prager.
Well, thank you. And this is, given the week before Halloween, this is all treat. No tricks today. Promise. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me, Lysandra. I am delighted to be talking to you. Maybe you'll feel a little uplifted after the session. Maybe you'll have some ideas on what you can do to make someone's day today. So I'm looking forward to talking about this, sharing the formula, how to do it, and just lots of stories and examples for you to be able to think, hey, I do that already. I can do that. So that's where we're at.
Oh, cool. Tell us about, before we jump into your presentation, Howard, tell us about what do you do during the day? Tell us about the work you do.
I do all sorts of work, Teresa. I, like you and Lysandra, I'm also a management and leadership consultant. So I do a lot of work in that. Matter of fact, I'm working with the Army Corps of Engineers, and soon we'll be working down in West Virginia with them. So looking
Nice.
forward to that. Yeah, not far from you. Then I also do some executive coaching, some consulting, a lot of development. I'm an assessor for the American National Standards Institute, NAB. So delighted to just do lots of different things in teaching. And whatever I do, I try to give it my all and give people more than they expected. And I'm hoping that today that will just continue. I'd love to give the viewers that are here already and those that are listening afterwards more than you expected.
Cool, cool. Well, you know what? Let's dive right in. I know you're going to tell us about your book, and then we'll do some Q&A afterwards. But my friends who are in the chat, if you have a question while Howard is presenting, feel free to put your question in the chat. Lysandra and I will be watching for your questions, and then we can jump in and ask them. All right, the floor is yours. The screen is yours.
The screen is mine. All right. Um, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start off with a near Philly story, and then maybe we'll go in and they'll do a little bit of explanation about Make Someone's Day, where it came from, how it is, how it works, what you can do, what you gain from it, what others gain from it. Does that sound okay? And in the meantime, let's talk back and forth. And those who are listening live, feel free to ask questions anytime. Matter of fact, I'm going to pause during the slides and ask you a question as well. So let me start off with a Philly story because it's a story from this month and it's truly amazing. My daughter is a marathon runner and Ironmaner, and so I really am tuned in to when those things happen. And what happened in Jersey this month, earlier this month, is remarkable. An emergency room doctor by the name of Dr. Shane Nadeau was running a half marathon earlier and immediately assisted a woman who collapsed mid-race, ultimately saving her life. And he did this and still finished the race himself at his best time ever. This gained significant media attention, I'm sure locally as well as nationally. And it just goes to show you that when you make someone's day, someone can make their life, whether it's inspiring them for life or being able to save their lives, as this doctor did. I think that's just a remarkable story and says the value and benefit of Make Someone's Day. A similar story happened this summer. Again, focused on the New York, New Jersey area. I was with scouts out at Philmont Scout Ranch in Cimarron, New Mexico. And the scouts were flying home from Denver to Newark. And as they did, someone on the plane had a heart attack. Or let's put it this way, he went unconscious. They put him on the floor, and pilot immediately says, "Are there any doctors on board?" 2 or 3 came forward. They're trying to find out what medication and what other things they may have that either he's taking or can help him. In the meantime, they said, if anyone knows CPR. And so these scouts and their leaders stood up and went forward on the plane. The passenger had been put in the aisle, and they started giving him CPR. It took 45 minutes, and giving CPR can get very tiring. You can do it for a few minutes, and then you need someone else to take over. Well, these scouts took a turn one at a time, giving this person CPR for 45 minutes. The plane made an emergency landing, and by the time they landed, they had revived this person. Isn't that a great story? Um, First of all, kudos to these scouts for knowing the first aid and having the skill of CPR. But what a way to make someone's life. Here are 2 examples of saving a life by just doing the right thing. So let's all do that. Let's all save lives, but we don't need to do it medically. We can do it in so many other ways. So let me share some stories about that, about how make someone's day can make a difference. And I saw someone said something on the chat, and yes, I do play that instrument behind me. That's my sousaphone. I have a tuba in the basement. No reason to have them both in one room, right? So I just play whatever horn I want to pick up that day, and love playing. So thanks for asking about that. Let's share these slides right now, and let's talk about a little bit about make someone's day. So let's see here. Here we go. And the subtitle is Becoming a Memorable Leader in Work and Life, because I think that this is something that's truly important, not just for work, but also for life. And as life-saving examples, I guess, start off with how that can make a difference. So let's talk about a couple more one quick story, and then the story behind how I created the idea of Make Someone's Day. This is one of my business partners, Angela. Angela and her husband, Jake, are with their premature baby, Lawrence. And when Lawrence was born 3 months early, he was in NICU, the neonatal intensive care unit. And he was there he was born in April, was due in July. So he was there very early, and they visited him every day. And the receptionist at the hospital, the person who welcomes you to the hospital and gives you the badge and says where to go, after the first week or two, she knew that Angela and Jake were visiting their baby every day. And she would have badges ready for them when they came in. What's more, when Lawrence was finally discharged from the hospital, she gave him swimming certificate for swimming lessons and an outfit. And she said to Angela, "You guys inspire me by your love and care for your son. I know he's going to grow up and be terrific because of the types of parents you are." She didn't know them other than the fact that they came to the hospital every day to see their son. But what a beautiful thing to say and to do. And it really is, make someone's day are these beautiful moments. This next story is how I really came up with the idea. And it's really not quite the same touching thing. But let me share with you that I was commuting downtown Chicago by commuter train, and I was there probably at 6:30 in the morning to catch the train to get me downtown. And a young woman came up to me with a petition. That's why I've got that petition here signed picture. And she said, "Would you mind signing this?" And in order to get people on the ballot in Illinois, and given election season, right, all into the elections, and I know Pennsylvania is a big state, so please get out and vote. She asked me to sign a petition. So I asked her who it was for, and she told me. I said, "Oh, I've heard of him. Okay, I'll sign." And I gave the clipboard and petition back to her. And she looked at me with the biggest of eyes and said, "You made my day." I signed a petition That's all I did. I think I was the first. And I got on the train. It was about an hour ride downtown. And I couldn't stop thinking about the words that she said. Those words, "You made my day," just stuck with me. And by the time I got home or got back on the train in the afternoon to come back home, I said, I think there may be a book here. And I started coming up with chapter ideas and everything else. Well, it took a while to really write and capture all the data and such about the book. But 5 years later, it was born and Make Someone's Day came about. And I realized that Make Someone's Day doesn't have to be big things. It can be small things. It can be signing a petition. It could be offering a smile, a helping hand. It could be welcoming someone who is a regular visitor to a hospital, or it could be saving a life. And there's so many examples of each of those. But I just want you to know it doesn't have to be big. It just has to be the right thing at the right moment. And that's what people are looking for. What do I need now? What do I need now? And our job, in a sense, if you take it as a job, is to find out and help figure out what it is that's going to help them at that moment. So let me share with you some ways to do this. And let me start with my way that just happened to me. My friend Rita Bailey, um, she's so brilliant and talented. But one of the things she does is creatively, she designs these gift boxes. And she created a gift box just for me. And I was so touched when I received that. It was just a week ago. And it absolutely more than made my day. And then inside the box, as you see, she not only had this little nice picture that you see on the screen, but then she also had this hard copy of a record of my book in the VIP model, How to Make Someone's Day. And I'll share this with you later as far as what that model is, so that you can go make someone's day too. But I just wanted to share what a powerful thing this was for me to receive one. And so that just, again, reinvigorated. I hope when I told her that she got some of the reciprocity from that, because our neurons, we have reciprocal neurons. When you go and I'll use the hospital example one more time, and visit someone maybe who's ill in the hospital, and you bring your joy, you bring your warmth, you bring your smile, you bring your humor, you bring yourself to that, they will pick that up, and it truly helps in the healing process. So realize that those visits, which sometimes are tiring or frustrating or sad, they're really doing a wonderful job for the patient. So don't forget to do that in any way you can. So why does it work? Why does Make Someone's Day work? First of all, my friend Dr. Ava Ritvo has written a book called Be Kinder, and she said that it's the mix of serotonin, oxytocin, and dopamine with endorphins. And they're released, for example, when we smile. That's why a smile can make someone's day. And smiling at someone coaxes them both to smile back and make us both feel good. So so there's that neurochemicals that really help us. And then being kind and caring about others makes us happy and produces what I call the boomerang effect. And the boomerang effect is that if you feel good, others are going to feel better too. And Dr. Ellie Goldstein talks about that in the now effect. And then finally, research by some couple of professors at the University of Sussex found that being in a good mood can make you even kinder. So here's some facts from various doctors as to why it works and how it makes a difference. So let me just take a moment, and I don't know if you want to post in the chat, but share what are some acts of kindness that you've received. And it doesn't have to be as big as this gorgeous box from Rita, but it might be other small ways, small things that people do. So as I'm waiting to get some chats, I'll tell you a small thing that happened to my wife the other day. Is that we live in one of these complexes, and oftentimes we have to turn left onto a busy street. And so we're waiting and waiting for clearing and everything. And one woman had pulled up and was turning left into our development, but she saw that the other way was clear. And so she waved both my wife and the driver behind her through so they could get into traffic and on their way. And then she was still able to turn into our development. It was a small thing, but made such an impression on my wife that she had to call me and tell me about this. So, um, again, small things, small acts of kindness can make a big difference. And we don't know what those small acts are until we kind of try to figure out what might people need. Um, let's see, what are some, let me see if I can just look at the chat a little bit. Smiling is powerful. How often do we remember to smile, acknowledge the presence of others? Acknowledging presence, Lysandra, so important, just acknowledgement. Um, the people are there that we need something. Yeah, smile when you answer on the phone. Ginger, you're so right. That makes such a difference. Um, um, Teresa, I was at a conference, one of the guests made sure that she introduced me to others, so I felt a part of the group. You know, it's so important, even for extroverts, to get out there and be introduced so that they can feel that connection. Um, there's a chapter in the book about what can you do for introverts? How can introverts make someone's day? And I'll talk about that in a little bit, but yeah, make someone's day can be done for introverts, for extroverts. It doesn't matter. It all works in all ways. Let me share a couple more examples here. From Elena, I used to wave and smile at a young woman a few times a week when I passed her working. We didn't speak, we just waved at each other. And one day she came out and said that often made her day and kept her going. I was so honored that it made my day too. Well, what a beautiful thing that you did, Elena, and how wonderful that that reciprocal moment happened. That's great. Ginger, friends checking in on and encouraging after surgery. One sends me pictures. See, Ginger, it's those little things that happen. Um, Bruno, hi Bruno. Bruno just he's one of the business executives who really gets it. Bruno, I'm so glad you're here. He made a New Year's resolution that everyone that we interact with is coming to us with positive intent. Truly, most people don't want to be trouble to or for others. So let's make someone's day by always doing and thinking things positively. Let's think about the reasons that people are interacting, and that let's not go negative. Our brain is wired to go to the negative side. So we have to work to make it positive. Alessandra said, my day is being made reading all these acts of kindness. Oh, for sure. Restored faith in humanity. So thank you for sharing these, and continue to think about examples that you may have. While I'm talking about kindness, um, you know, it is not what you are being kind when you make someone's day. I said practice kindness. Um, but kindness also, let me read from Dr. David Hamilton. The kindness invites, or he said, talks about kindfulness. It's a blend of being kind and being mindful. I like that, kind and mindful. Um, it invites us to focus on looking for opportunities to help others. It could be saying or doing something kind at home or work because you realize someone could do with a helping hand, or you spot an opportunity to help someone while you go about your day and you act on that opportunity. Isn't that so true? So I kind of resisted to go into kindness and kindfulness, but really that's what making someone day is all about. So what are the benefits if you think about from a work and personal perspective, It provides greater motivation and productivity. People are uplifted when they make someone's day, when something happens to them and they do something for others. Let me share with you one example where that happened for me. Um, I had won an award, a national award. I had one of leadership practice that won an excellence in practice and was one of 5 in the world. And I was invited to a conference in Germany, and I worked at a graduate school at the time that didn't have the budget to send me. Well, I happened to be at the conference that Teresa and I go to, and I was sitting at a table with someone who's a past president of the organization of ASTD, and he said, "Tell me how much you need. My foundation supports people like this. I'd love to be able to send you to your conference." I was speechless. It's like, no, you're kidding. This isn't really? Are you sure? And it was just happenstance. I happened to sit next to him. But it made my day, it made my life to be able to go there, meet others from around the world, and share my practice, leadership practice that had won the award. So, yeah, I was really uplifted. I felt super motivated and certainly much more productive from that. Another thing it does is it engages our workforce, greater commitment and collaboration. When we make someone's day, we do so much to be able to lift others up. So here's an example. My boss's father was in the catering business, and there was occasion that he forgot to put a party down, and he got a call from the party people that they were supposed to be catering for, and they said, "Where are you?" And he said, "Oh my gosh." So he'd go into the back and yell, "Surprise party!" And everyone would get together and run and put together all the food that was needed for this party, and off they'd go in the truck as quickly as possible to get it to the party on time or close to when they needed it. So when that happens, when you feel committed to the job, you're going to have that commitment to take care of those surprise parties. I always think it's so funny, surprise party, because we forgot to put this on the calendar. And finally, increased retention. When people do things for others, when they make their day or you make their day, they want to stay. This is why I believe that when we make someone's day at work and create a culture like that, that people want to stay. Let me give you 2 quick examples of this. WD-40, you know, the stuff that you spray that takes out squeaks and stuff and helps things roll better. Gary Ridge was a former president and CEO of WD-40, and he had a culture that was so open and supportive to everyone's ideas and such that people wanted to stay. They didn't want to leave there because it was such a caring and committed culture. Here's another example, Walgreens. Well, you don't think of Walgreens, especially your neighborhood Walgreens. Geez, this is the place I want to stay all the time. But this is about their distribution center, and this is about what they did at their distribution center. They decided that the right thing to do was to open up to people with disabilities and offer them jobs, not jobs at low pay, but jobs at fair pay. And what they needed to have is a facility that was 50% disabilities and 50% non-disabilities so that they could work together. Well, not only did this thrill people, and they got applicants from around the country who came in and interviewed because they wanted to work there, because they needed to find a place that treated them right. That did so well that they outperformed all their metrics of productivity and retention. People did not want to leave there. Either the people with disabilities or the people without disabilities. They loved working there. Who would think that a distribution center would have such great commitment and support? But they made someone's day by offering the opportunity to people who weren't necessarily getting fair shakes a lot of other places. I think it's just a beautiful story, and kudos to Walgreens for doing that. There's a book about that if you're interested in doing that. So let me just check the chat and see if there's any comments before I go on and just talk briefly about different ways to make someone's day. Oh, good. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Ginger. Um, yeah, I know. Makes you love Walgreens. Absolutely. So there are three different ways that we can do make someone's day. We can do it in person or online. We can do it whether we know or don't know the people. And we could put forth minimal effort, or you shared examples how just smiling can make someone's day, or maximal effort. So let me give you some quick examples of each of those. Maybe they might spark yours, or maybe you'll say, oh my gosh, this happened to me too. So here's a toy train. How could that make someone's day? Well, my friend Bob Nelson is known now as the Dr. Bob, and he is known for finding ways to reward, recognize, inspire others. But it started when he was chief of staff for someone by the name of Ken Blanchard. Ken is the author of over 70 million copies of his books have been sold. He was known for the 1 Minute Manager and for situational leadership. And so Ken had a very busy schedule. And Ken was traveling overseas, and he talked to Bob because Bob would drive him to the airport and such, and asked Bob about his kids and stuff. And his son was 6 and loved trains. When Bob came back from this 3-month trip to Scandinavia, he said, I brought back one thing, Bob, and gave him a package. And it was a toy train for his son. Bob didn't know what to say. He's busy. He's working for 3 months solid away from home and such. And who did he remember? What did he remember? He remembered Bob's son's love of trains. Now, I've got tons of other stories about people, bosses and others who travel and bring back something for someone who works for them, for their children. I don't know if you've got examples of that, but it's happened with people who, for example, went to South America, to Argentina, and came back with a Messi jersey, Lionel Messi, for someone whose son loved soccer. And I say sons, there are things for daughters too. So I don't want to feel like I'm missing out. Just these examples have to happen to be for their sons. So I don't know if anyone has had an example of this where someone remembered that, but how nice to do. So here's another example. Again, this one also happens to be from the New Jersey area. I was trying to find stuff from the Philly, New Jersey area to share stories because I know the audience at least is partially Philly driven. So Doug Conant is the past CEO of Campbell's Soup. And when Doug joined Campbell's as CEO, he drove in and couldn't believe how though sterile is not the word, but the word is how disappointing how the headquarters of Campbell's Soup was. It just didn't look like a friendly place, a warm place to come. And Campbell's was having at the time plenty of red, and not just from their tomato soup. They weren't doing well financially. And Doug did a number of things, but one of them is he wrote thank yous. He would share his vision with his leaders and with the company. And as leaders spotted people doing things that were helping to move the way Campbell's needed to go forward, Doug would write a thank you note to them. Doug would write 150 to 200 thank you notes a week. What do you think it felt like to receive a thank you note from the CEO? Has to be remarkable. He wasn't in person, and Doug himself is an introvert. He'll tell you that. But he made a difference in so many people's lives that they turned Campbell's Soup around, and now we're able to continue to enjoy it as we know. I always look for those red and white labels, and what a iconic brand in the U.S. So thank you, Doug, for doing that. Here's a llama. And you say, well, that's nice. Where does that? We can make a sweater or something? What's this llama about? Well, this llama is about me. I was in Alaska teaching presentation skills to the National Park Service rangers up there. Matter of fact, the superintendents especially. And I had been there. We were there early May, end of April, early May. And I always wanted to go to Alaska. And I thought, oh my gosh, I want to see the bears and the moose and all this stuff. And I hadn't seen any wildlife. So the next day, it was on the fifth floor of a building in Anchorage, is where we were teaching, where the National Service was at the time. I don't know if it's still there. And I'm hearing this noise in the elevator, and the elevator opens out, up, doors open up, and the ranger walks out with his pet llama because he's sorry that I hadn't seen any wildlife in Alaska, and here I go. What a great story, and what a great thoughtfulness to do and say about make sure that you're seeing wildlife in Alaska. Now, it wasn't necessarily the wildlife I was expecting. Matter of fact, I didn't think llamas were in Alaska, but they are, and there is a picture of one to show you. So that was a great story. Here's another story about how. So that was another in-person way. But let me talk to you about a way when people don't know you. Um, got this picture of this thank you wall. And this thank you wall was replicated at the Washington Post, the newspaper. A while ago, reporters were feeling kind of beat up and not appreciated and such. And the managing editor of the Washington Post, Marty Baron, realized that he was getting some thank you notes from readers, but the writers, reporters, editors, others didn't know that. And so he would take the thank you notes and he would post them on his window. His outside, they had a glass office, and he'd post them on the window. And when any of those people felt down, they'd go over and read some of those notes. And it so inspired them to see that the work they were doing was being appreciated, that they were doing a job that people wanted to have. And the letters were from all over the world, the notes. It was really powerful. And when they shut down during the pandemic and they closed the newsroom, all the reporters and editors took pictures of their favorite letters so that at home they could remember the appreciation that people had for the work that they were doing. Isn't that remarkable? Isn't that simple? These things are easy to do. Share the thank you notes. So I think that's just a great example, even when you don't know somebody, how you can make a difference. Now, here's some doctors who look like they're having fun. And my friend Ron, when he was in his residency, maybe wasn't having quite that much fun. And he had a long night. And the chief resident at the time saw him and said, "Hey, Ron, let's go for dinner. Have you had anything to eat?" He said, "No, I'm going to go to the back room. There's a station, and grab some peanut butter crackers and just have that." He said, "Ron, I'd like you to take a break. Let's go down for dinner." But 40 years later, that dinner was the crowning point of his residency. He remembers that he needed that so bad just to take a little break and be able to recharge himself with some nourishment. And this is hospital food, folks. This is not like going out even to Burger King. This is like hospital food, but it made such a difference that Ron's chief resident saw that and made sure that Ron took the time. And then he was able to go back and finish his work. What a difference it made. Again, simple things. Take time out for a meal, help someone, see what they need and try to give them what they need. That's what makes someone's day is all about. And a final story I have of people who made someone's day is someone in the Chicago area. Sorry, I don't know I'll bet they've been in some of the Philadelphia parades, I'm sure. This is the Jesse White tumblers. Jesse White was a politician who saw the need for youth, especially on the South and West sides, where there's so much gang troubles in Chicago. And he thought that by helping teach them tumbling and taking them around to parades and events first around the city, around the state, and now around the country and even around the world, that they can make a difference. And when they joined the tumblers, they had to make a commitment to keep up with their schoolwork, to do all their homework, and to not get involved with drugs or gangs. And as a result, over 60,000 youth have been through Jesse White tumblers. And these youth have thrived, they've gone on to college, they've made a difference in the lives of others, and have not fallen into the trap of not being able to succeed. So Jesse White said, this is what I dedicate my life to, helping these youth and turning them around. And both boys and girls are part of the tumblers. If you ever get a chance to see them, do so, because they're a lot of fun. So those are some nice examples. Now let me share with you and say, oh my gosh, so how do I do this? What do I need to do? Well, I decided that why don't we create a model that treats others like VIPs? So I created the VIP model: view and observe, identify and consider, plan and act. So that's the VIP. And then afterwards, just review and reflect what you did. So view and observe what's going on around you. What might people need? What do you notice? What do you see? So view and observe, being aware is step one. Step number two is think about, once you've seen that, what might they need? Is there something they need? So what things might you want to identify or consider for them? And then plan about how you're going to do that and act. This may be happening spontaneously, right? Very quickly. We go through VIP and we act almost immediately, as the doctor did and the scouts did when the person needed life-saving, right? They're not thinking much about viewing and observing. They're seeing it and they're identifying and they're acting. So afterwards, whatever you do, however you've made someone stay, review and reflect. What does it take to do? And that's the simple model. That's all it takes to make someone stay. So 4 steps to get started: just learn and use the method. Seek opportunities to practice and grow your practice. Start simply, no expectations, and track your progress and results. And you can get forms or get a form from me, just email me. I'd be happy to share that with you. And I'd like to leave with this quote from Frances Hesselbein. Frances Hesselbein, for those who don't know who she is, she died last year at 107, and she worked until her very end. She she turned the Girl Scouts of the USA around back in the 70s as CEO, and continued to go on working with many organizations, was the first woman leadership trainer at West Point. And here's what she had in her wall. And I don't have it on my wall yet, but I need to put it there, because I'm of the opinion that my life belongs to the community. And as long as I live, it's my privilege to do whatever I can. I want to be thoroughly used up when I die. For the harder I work, the more I live. Life is no brief candle to me. It's the splendid torch which I have to get a hold of for a moment. And I want to make it burn as brightly as possible before handing it on to future generations. So I'd like to hand on Make Someone's Day to you, and hope that this is able to make a difference for you, for your colleagues, for your friends, and share your stories and how you made others feel like a VIP. And you see my email there, howard@advancedlearninggroup.com. So Teresa, this might have been longer than you expected, but I hope that it gives people a good understanding of it and some examples.
No, it was absolutely perfect, Howard. And I have to ask you guys who are watching us live, How are you feeling right now? This is very woo-woo, but what is your vibration right now? I gotta tell you, you have lifted my spirit so much. We need to take time to think about this stuff, Howard. We are caught up in the busy, but it's almost like, well, and I'll share with you, I mark my calendar every Monday morning, and I have a 15-minute block that says, who do I need to thank?
Oh,
15
wow.
minute block. Now, what's sad is I have to mark my calendar, Howard. I have to do it because if I didn't mark my calendar, I would get caught up in the busy, reading my emails and preparing for a workshop coming up. 15 minutes. Why not start off your week with something that will make someone's day, right?
Imagine how they feel on a Monday morning to receive that. That's
Yeah.
terrific, Teresa.
Yeah. So there's my little following your lead there, Howard, because this is beautiful stuff, but it's critically important stuff. Can you share a story from an organizational perspective? You shared Walgreens. Have you worked with any organizations that where they've been incorporating this and trying to use the work you've done from your book?
Yeah, I'm currently working with the Great Books Foundation. That's a great organization. And um, they talk about using shared inquiry, the inquiry in action. So they teach um, young children up to adults, because they have junior grade books, how to think critically, how to read critically. And it's really wonderful. You could go on there, go to greatbooksfoundation.org. I'm not trying to sell them, but you asked about working with, and they have been able, you can see video of these kids as young as kindergartners having thoughtful discussions. It's amazing what they've done, and they have brought me in to work with them and to make someone's day into their organization and service learning into their organization so that they'll be able to learn, grow, and make difference for others. I
That's
think that's just awesome.
That is. And what they're doing around critical thinking, you know as well as I do in the workforce, one of the top three that comes up as things they need for their organization is critical thinking and problem solving. It's
Yeah,
all top three needs. So they're doing some really, really good work. I want to spend a little time around leaders selfishly because I spend a lot of time with leaders,
yes.
and we all know some leaders could use some help. Is it possible to create a mindset shift in a leader who is not thinking in alignment with making someone's day? Is it possible to create that mindset shift?
Yeah, you know what happens is, and you know this as well as I do, is that leaders think a lot about getting the job done and getting the task done and getting the results. And they're really, so many leaders are focused on that that
Sure.
they forget about the people and relationship portion. It's the people who do that work.
Yes.
So you can either use the stick or use the carrot. And those that use the carrot get incredibly better results. Here's an example of someone who does that. Richard Branson, the
Ah,
little bit of eccentric billionaire, right, who owns the Virgin brand. Um, what he says is, and he's written this in his book as well, he said, I want to make sure that the people who work for me are treated well. Because if I do, they're going to treat our customers well and they're going to treat our customers right. So he's someone who is, and I have not talked to people in this organization. I would love to. We're actually going on a Virgin uh, Atlantic cruise, so I'll get a chance to see how they live his philosophy. But that's his philosophy: is that I want to treat my people well, so they'll treat our customers well. And if that happens, our customers are going to become return and repeat customers. And isn't that great?
yeah.
Um, yeah.
It's nice to see a leader who gets it, right?
Yes.
Not
Yes.
all of them do. That's
No.
well, I was so glad you brought up Doug Conant So Doug Conant has an office right in Center City, Philadelphia. And
Ah,
I had the pleasure of getting to know him. We had some work that we did with our PBS station, WHYY. So I got to meet him through that. So he would write all these thank you notes to Campbell Soup employees. People they held on to those thank you notes. They had them tacked up in their cube and in their office. So what are some other things leaders do that make someone's day? So he was a big thank you note guy. To me, that's low hanging fruit. So
yeah, sure is.
what are some other things leaders can do to make someone's day?
It could be as simple as seeing somebody's overworked or burdened or crunch time, and they're trying to get everything done, and they feel like, when you're in times like that, you feel like everything is riding on your shoulders, right? You've got the weight of the world on you. And all a leader needs to do is see that and say, how can I help? Or give them some time off, some help. Think about my friend Ron, whose chief resident said, Ron, let's take a few minutes and go down and eat. It's simple things like that. We think that, oh my gosh, well, I've got to pay him a lot more money or whatever. No, it's the simple acts that people really appreciate and make a difference. And so, what leaders need to do is they need to start bringing in the make someone's day philosophy into their organizations.
Yeah.
Because if you're in an organization where people feel appreciated, what did I tell you earlier? I said that it's going to be more productive, that people are going to stay, that it's going to make a difference for people. Because who would want to leave an organization, if you're paid fairly, who wants to leave an organization that treats you well, that cares about you, that makes a difference, that understands what you're going through? That yes, we've got to get the job done, but it doesn't have to be grueling. It can be fun. We can
Yes.
have fun at work. And that's what Bob Nelson, who I talked about earlier, that's what he's all about. How do we have fun at work? And when we do, we're going to go home, our blood pressure is going to be better, we're going to be more productive, and we're going to want to return and come back the next day.
Absolutely. The one leader that I work with, one of the things that I see that he does well, that not only most leaders, I don't think do this well, I just don't think many of us do it well. He is very mindful to be fully present for who he's speaking with.
Yes.
He said, I had to coach myself because he's got all kinds of things on his mind, right? Meetings he's got to go to and stuff he has to do, and he wants to touch his keyboard or look at his cell phone. He said, Teresa, I have to coach myself. But I have found people are so appreciative when we can be fully present for them. I thought, boy, that's a simple but powerful thing that a leader can do, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
not rocket science. It's a mindfulness thing.
It is. It is. And when we realize that we can treat people better, and they're going to want to work, and they're going to want to get it done, and they're going to do it right, absolutely. That's what we're trying to get accomplished. That's what doing the task is all about, getting it done and getting it done well and getting it done right.
Now, I know you're a busy business person. So, just like all of us, you got stuff to do, emails to answer. I see you do some work with HCI. Are you still doing work with HCI, by the way?
I am. Yeah. That's the Human
That's a
Capital Institute. I love working for them.
They are great. I've attended a couple workshops with them, so they are great. So you've got all this stuff going on, just like everybody else. How do you personally recharge and ensure that you're bringing your best self to not only to our leaders, but also to your personal relationships? What are you doing, Howard? Because like you just have this calming, soothing presence, but I know you got crazy to-do list. What are you doing?
I do. I suppose three things I do that make a difference for me. Um, Number one is music. Whether it's playing or listening, music is a big part of my life. Um, Number two is exercise and being out in nature because that's so restorative. And number three is helping others because
Nice.
when I make someone's day, it makes my day. I feel that boomerang effect coming back to me. and it
Yes.
makes me feel better. So those are the three things that I try to do when I'm feeling like, oh my gosh, I feel a little overwhelmed. I've got so much going on here. It's creeping up. It's creeping up. What am I going to do? And then I try to say, okay, let's breathe and let's try to do one of those things to restore myself so that I can get back into things again.
Yeah, we have to, and that when we're in the plane, we always use this example, the mask falls and you got to put it on your own face first before you help others. That's what
Yeah,
you're making sure that you're doing those things to refresh and recharge.
there
Great.
you go. So it's funny when you say put the mask on. I've got a CPAP machine, so I don't know if anyone out there is a CPAP user, but always have to put my CPAP mask on first, right?
And then you can sleep and hopefully not snore, right? That helps
That's
you.
right, exactly.
It's a beautiful thing. We are coming to the very tail end, and this went so quickly. I knew it would. But my last question for you is, I know you must have some stuff coming up. Is there anything that you can share with us that we can help you with or join you or you're just particularly proud of? What's coming up for you?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I am proud of that Rupa Publications, RUPA, in India has bought the rights to my book, and they are going to be printing it in India. And I am so excited about that. There are millions of people in India. And so to be able to have them have access to make someone's day just makes my heart feel so good. I don't know where it's going to go from there, but I'm just delighted that's happening. Then I've
Nice.
got an article coming out. We all talk about, especially wherever we're doing, whenever I'm on a committee, we don't want to just perform, we want to high perform. And you and I have been on teams, Teresa, where we've seen what high performance is and what it can be like. And I'm
Yes.
sure many other listeners have done that as well. So I've said, well, wait a second. Why do we then look at the standard model is beautiful Tuckman model is form, storm, norm, perform. I said, we've got to go beyond that. So I've created a model called peak performance. P is stands for what's the purpose, understanding the purpose and preparing for being on the team. E is engagement. What do we need to do to engage as a team and bring people together? A is to achieve highly. Let's be able to achieve at our highest level. And K is to keep the knowledge, because so often we lose that knowledge. We're on a team that's performing and performing really well, high performing, and all of a sudden we forget that and go on to something else. So it's that simple. And that article is going to be coming out this fall. So
Not
I'm really looking into how can I continue to push the envelope in leadership and team development in ways that are accessible to all of us. And that's what I love to do. I also love to hear from you. So I know Teresa and Lysandra have put in my emails, but feel free, please share examples. And I love the fact, oh my gosh, I'm seeing so many things on chat. Um, um, please contact me, and thank you for engaging so much in this wonderful conversation that Teresa and I have had today.
Howard, thank you so much for joining us. And as Howard said, stay in touch with him. You've got his LinkedIn profile. You've got his homepage where you can check out the work he does. You're no different than me. When we say we really want to connect, we really want to connect. We would love to hear the follow up. So, and if you are those of you that have joined us today want to share your LinkedIn profile, because a big part of Meet the Author is networking. And if you want to share your LinkedIn profile and connect with others, I welcome you to do so. Let's connect and stay in touch, and let's make each other's day. Howard, thank you.
Teresa, thank you. It's been such a delight. And thank you for following up and bringing me on your show. I've loved it.
Nice. Well,
Yeah.
we're going to stop our recording here. And Lysandra, you're welcome to join us. And